proper living, proper environment, and proper food. These three things are for the human rights, and that is the preamble of the Constitution, that is equality, status, dignity, and equal protection of the life of the person. That is also borrowed from Article 21 of the Constitution of India. If we take out the environmental factor, that has also been defined under Article 48A of the Constitution of India, which talks about the environmental factor. One has dignity to live in a proper environment. That is the crux of the Constitution of India. That is the crux of the preamble of the Constitution of India. I remember one instance of the environment where in Nainital, the horses were going on from Tallital to Nainital. They were making large number of dirt. Somebody has come up in writ petition, that is, one Ajay Singh Rawat has filed a writ petition where he has alleged that the horses are giving bad environment, and bad environment is causing such that the people are unable to walk from one street to another street. Then the Supreme Court has interfered and has stated that the Nainital, a beautiful city, the horses are destroying the passers-by and they are unable to move that, and therefore the Supreme Court has stopped the going of the horses. These are the effect of environment, and environment is a preamble of the Constitution of India, and therefore one has to be very that the environment and the social and equity, all these things are preamble of the Constitution, and one has not to play with the nature of the nature is the primary thing. You must have heard the climate change that is in the Kedarnath in 2013, what has happened, that all the cars were destroyed, all the persons have gone in the hill area, nobody was known, and these are the climate change. One should not play with the environment. These are the things, cutting of the trees and destroy of the road safety, all these things are the result of bad environment, and therefore one has to be cautious. One should not play with these environmental factors. And what has been said in the Gita, which I'll narrate before you, all the religion teach respect for nature and the necessary balance of nature and spirit. The higher purpose of life is acquiring the qualities of the nature and the spiritual world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Justice, for giving us such a marvelous interpretation of ESG and so much of the spirit of the ESG as we know it today lying in the Constitution of India. As an advocate who has been in the field of sustainability now for many years, as a person who has literally been involved with the framing of the current sustainability frameworks in our country, and somebody who has been on both sides, a practitioner, somebody who has studied the law, the regulations, and sitting on several boards of companies where we actually need to write up the BRSR reports. This is a field of vast interest to me in particular, and to our nation, which is at the crossroads today. Today, I will confine myself to the second item that has been entrusted to our panel, legal obligations for businesses under ESG framework, and the challenges and opportunities in implementing ESG-driven compliance programs. Let me draw your attention to the fact that at the heart of the current legal framework lies the SEBI Act of 1992. Because currently BRSR, business responsibility and sustainability reporting, has been made mandatory for the top 1,000 companies by market capitalization and falls under the purview of SEBI. In particular, SEBI circular dated 10th of May 2021 and the SEBI circular dated 22nd July of 2023. These, in fact, prescribe the nature of the reporting, the format, which is the BRSR, and the compulsory nature of compliance to which each of these companies falling under the ambit of the SEBI regulation need to comply with. Because that is so, and because the SEBI Act of 1992 prescribes severe penalties for non-compliance, companies are now beginning to understand that it is not just a matter of tick in the box or fill up a form. The materiality, the requirement of data, hard data, the requirement of putting in place practices that enable the company to fill up BRSR have become literally the manner in which companies have had to internalize the way they perform. Now, SEBI's punishments in 15B and 15H of the SEBI Act prescribe penalties which vary from 1 lakh to 1 lakh per day to a maximum of 1 crore. And these penalties are not just in terms of monetary penalties, but the reputational damage that a single notice from SEBI can cause to the top 1,000 companies is phenomenal. And that is why a great deal of compliance now we see between 2021 and 2023-24, the extent of compliance has gone up from year to year. Initially, SEBI said that you write your BRSR report and submit them to us, which works out as pretty much raw, unfiltered data. Today, SEBI has introduced from last year the BRSR core, which means that you not only have to fill up the BRSR form, but get it validated and assured by a certified assurer. And therefore, even before you can submit to SEBI, you must submit to the validated assurer. The entire practice of BRSR today, therefore, is now so transformed that top corporates have no way out to build systems that will ensure compliance. The cost of non-compliance is astronomical. Let me turn my attention now to the latter aspect of what I wanted to say, which is, what are the challenges and what are the opportunities? Let's presume for a minute that a company needs to fill up the BRSR core form. What does it need to do? First thing, it has to build in an internal mechanism, literally an internal department, which must take into consideration the environment, the social, and the governance. And please note that each of 3 verticals in the ESG have very little relevance to each other. Climate change and the environment is a vast field calling for considerable expertise. Social, CSR, HR, human rights is again a vast field. And corporate law, corporate governance as we know it today, 470 sections of the Companies Act of 2013. Each of these, therefore, is a massive enterprise. And for a corporate to set its mind to actually complying on all the 9 principles of BRSR is a challenging task. You have to draw from the diverse aspects of the company. So the principal challenge is, how do you set a mechanism in your own company to actually ensure that what you are filling up in BRSR subscribes to the highest standards of materiality? Number 2, the cost of putting this together is exponentially growing. Many companies don't have the expertise within their own domain, so they need to hire experts or consultants, and they don't come cheap in this country. Also, to understand, particularly at the board level, the nuances of the law, the interpretation of the law, is very hard even for independent directors to grasp. And therefore, it is really quite a challenge. Switching to opportunity. If you incur this cost, if you comply, if you subscribe to the highest standards of materiality and do all of this, what does a company gain? Number 1, brand name. Number 2, stakeholder perception. Number 3, conformity with international practices. And 4th, and most importantly, the availability of credit, because financiers now more and more are ensuring that you fulfill the ESG standards before you can actually get investment opportunities. And this is not just in India, but across the entire globe. Today, if you are looking for international funding in your company, if you are not ESG compliant, you don't stand a chance. So those briefly were the challenges, the opportunities, and also the larger legal framework that we have done. I'll close with one observation, which is that the legal practice around this is still growing. Case law is still developing. I have a young colleague of mine sitting with me, Pragya, who is now trying to understand where the case law resides. And we are going to track every aspect of the evolving case law. This is a challenging opportunity for this country, and I'm sure that all of you would follow it very closely. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much. The speaker has interpreted the SEBI, the powers of the SEBI, and all these things are there, but that is a very vast subject. One has to see the principles of the SEBI and the creditor, how it works as a human rights, as a general public. That has to be narrated and that has to be demonstrated a lot. Now I'll request Mr. Sachdeva Hargovindji, who is also a prime mover of this function. He is right hand of Mr. Singhi, who is the who has arranged the entire conference here, and Mr. Sachdeva will also demonstrate about the legal field and about the constitutional aspect of the matter.
Thank you, Judge Mr. Tandon. Mahatma Gandhi envisioned an India where people will live in villages. Unfortunately, the reverse happened. The migration took place towards cities, and today every citizen is struggling to breathe fresh air, lead a hygienic life, or move around freely in roads which are congested with traffic. Now, this Mother Earth is given to each one of us in trust to be utilized, to be lived nicely, and then to be passed on to our next generation, our children, so that they can also prosper and take the humanity forward. Unfortunately, the way we indulged in deforestation, massive urbanization, industrialization, we have also negated that dream, that vision. And today we are at a standstill position wherein people are suffering from severe diseases and calamities like corona. They frequent us because of non-observance of the standards of cleanliness in life. ESG is a direction, a small step in rectifying that error. I would focus from the angle of a former banker, and as judge has ordered me, I will also try to bring in law, whatever limited legal knowledge I have pertaining to ESG. Friends, when we are lending, we are only seeing the profit a bank can make, but we do not see the profit earth can gain out of that lending. Today, State Bank of India, unfortunately my bank, is the largest lender to coal financing in world. Just imagine. And the loans of corporates like Indian Oil Corporation, Burma Shell, and leading oil companies are sanctioned within 48 hours, and the quantums are 1,500 crore to 2,000 crore per loan. Whereas a small loan, for an entrepreneur or MSME unit takes more than 1 week. So the anxiety to book profit by funding big names like Indian Oil Corporation is actually making this ESG exercise a very challenging exercise. As such, bankers should ensure that in the rating rationale they conduct while assessing a loan proposal, they must give negative marks to a company which is polluting the ambience, the environment, because once that company is non-compliant to ESG, that is basically environment, then the other aspects, that is the social aspect and the corporate governance aspects, and thank you Judge, you have added that G in ESG should stand for global aspects also. So those aspects are also overlooked. I'll just briefly tell how. Once we are polluting the atmosphere, then we are only for profit. We want our product to somehow manufacture in large numbers and then sell it and make profit. Now in doing so, the corporate governance is thrown to dustbin because we do not observe the laws. We create pollution, we make people work extra time without compensating them properly. We do gender discrimination because long hours of working women are sent home, but males, they are brought into third shift, and our old machinery works for 24 hours a day, polluting the ambience day in, day out. Similarly, in social aspect of this, we find that there are a lot of lacuna. People are indulging. They are not paying proper wages. They are not creating even proper toilets for their labor. So a person who is non-compliant to ESG is actually a destroyer of this generation. As such, I am sure that this House will really welcome the implementation of ESG. Now the legal aspect. Legal aspect is that sir is heading a lot of courts and a lot of senior judges or lawyers are sitting here. Now NCLT was introduced saying that it will bring revival and resolution of the debts, sustain some employments, sustain some old machinery to still provide some productivity to aid to the nation's economy and GDP. But unfortunately, judges are not giving any order that a unit which is being revived should also be ESG compliant. We are only seeing financial ratios. We are telling give this much to labor, this much to creditors, this much to suppliers, this much to secured creditor. But sir, we are not getting judgments wherein you must order that each unit which I am reviving and giving a fresh lease of life should be ESG compliant, because only then India will start improving somewhere. Now more than 56,000 companies are confronting NCLT decisions. I request that if that could be brought in, then probably we will be able to do justice. Friends, now RBI has started a very good concept of green bonds. They are paying extra interest if you invest in the green bond FDRs or instruments. And those funds are essentially given to companies who are doing green manufacturing, observing ESG norms. So legally, things have started happening, and I'm sure with the voice which will go from this esteemed house, ESG will be harnessed by each and every individual in his personal life and all the corporates in their business lives to make this world a better place to live. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sachdevaji. You have rightly emphasized the role of NCLT. NCLT is directly connected with environmental issue, in as much as I have seen that when the roads are being constructed and those roads are being such that the trees are fallen down, then the NCLT interferes and those fallen of the trees are being restricted. And therefore NCLT is deeply connected with the environmental issue, and he has rightly pointed out that all these corporate sectors should also follow up our environmental issue and all these issues, GST and all that, and we should be very sincere to all this. One should be sincere to this environmental issue and also to the corporate law. Thank you very much. Now I'll request Mr. Gupta ji to also demonstrate about the legal field.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. All of you would tend to agree with me that the world is changing, and it is changing very, very significantly and rapidly. I am not only talking about the last 2.5 years when the world as a whole was impacted by COVID-19 pandemic, but even otherwise, if you look back 2 or 3 decades, there have been some significant changes which have taken place in this world, which have changed the way we live our life and also changed the way the businesses function in the marketplace. It's a few world, which is highly vulnerable, very, very volatile, very uncertain, hugely complex, very ambiguous. And to top it all, there is always that fear of uncertainty lurking at the back of our mind. You don't really know what might happen next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the line. In this very, very dynamic, challenging and volatile world environment, the businesses are facing a lot of challenges. If you check out corporate performance, both for so-called old gold-plated companies still existing, still sustaining in the marketplace, and also large number of startups which are mushrooming all over, including India, many companies have profitless turnover. They have a great top line, but end of the day, there's no profit. Many companies have cashless profit. You have profit as per profit and loss account, but there's no cash, there's no liquidity. But when you look at their valuations, wow, skyrocketing, soaring very, very high. The point that I'm trying to focus on here is the measures of corporate performance have now undergone a change. I'm not saying profit is not important. You got to be profitable with a view to be able to sustain in the market, but the path to profit now passes through ESG. You got to make profit, yes, for sure, but at the same time being environmentally, socially, as well as through effective governance, architecture, and mechanism. That's where the companies are focusing on, because the stakeholders today are looking for ability of the company to create value, not value in the sense of valuation, real value. Ability of the company to be able to preserve value, and ability of the company to be able to enhance that value going forward on a sustainable basis. That is what the stakeholders are demanding from the companies. So only those companies which focus on profit with purpose. You make profit, you have to make profit, otherwise you will not survive. But profit with purpose, triple bottom line concept, where you look at not only profit, but also people and the environment side by side, so as to ensure equitable development. We all celebrated Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Naturally, we all took a view as to where are we today as a nation. And we are very proud to say we are the 5th largest economy of the world. Out of 195 countries, 5th largest economy, it's a great achievement. And mind you, 75 years in the life of a nation is not a long period. And will become 3rd largest economy of the world within the next few years for sure. And we are looking at Amrit Kal, India becoming a developed nation by 2047, culminating with 100 years of India's political independence. But then we are focusing on inclusive growth, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. As of now, we have done great things. We built great infrastructure. Our GDP number is pretty good, but the development hasn't reached the bottom of the pyramid. There are many people yet who are underprivileged, who are less privileged, who are underserved, who don't have access to the various facilities which are available to people living in the cities, and that's what has got to be ensured by and through the purposeful and meaningful implementation of the ESG principles by all concerned. So far as the legal dimension of ESG is concerned, legally speaking, if you integrate corporate laws, labor laws, social laws, environmental laws, the intersection that you reach is what is called ESG-driven legal practice or law practice. What is required to summarize in one way or one sentence is, you got to probably change your mindset that when you sit as a judge or when you look at a particular legal matter or a legal case, look at it not only from the point of view of the litigation or the matter involved. Ultimately, everything boils down to how does it impact, how is it going to impact the quality of the human life? And that's what ESG is all about. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta ji. He has all demonstrated about the legal field, but one thing has left, that our globalization Information Technology Act has been drafted and is codified. There is no law for artificial intelligence. What is going on, it has not been yet codified, and that is the drawback, either because the topic of today is environment, social and globalization. For social globalization, we must have a codified law. The digital arrests which are being going on daily newspaper is filled up. The government is not taking steps to codify the law. There was one section, section 66A, that is in the Information Technology Act, that itself has been deleted. Now you can pass on any information to anybody after the deletion of, that is the judgment of S.K.Singhi's case, and therefore there is no restriction, nothing of the kind, and therefore I'll pray to the government and also pray to this organization to demonstrate that there must be a law, codified law on the artificial intelligence, and there must be some punishment, that is the punitive punishment should be there, and that is why I say that the environmental, social and globalization only will be attracted and only will be established only when some codified law will be introduced. Thank you for the today's seminar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your thoughts with all of us and for conducting this session. A big thank you to all the panelists as well for sharing their views with all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, before we finally conclude, may I please invite Lieutenant General C.P. Mohanty ji to kindly please present mementos, tokens of respect for each of our speakers today. Welcoming Lieutenant General C.P. Mohanty on the dais. A big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. We thank our panelists, beginning with Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee. Thank you very much, sir, for your sharings. A big round of applause to each of our presenters. Mr. Hargovind Sachdev. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. Dr. S.K. Gupta. Dr. S.K. Gupta. A big round of applause. Followed by the moderator, Justice Rajesh Tandonji. A big round of applause for the moderator, Justice Tandon. Thank you very much for conducting this session. Thank you for joining us on this panel. Thank you very much. We'll have a group picture before we dive into the fourth and the final session for the day on AI and justice, navigating legal security and ethical frontiers in a progressive world. A topic which seems really contemporary. Thank you very much. So big thank you to all the panelists, moderator, and thank you Lieutenant General C.P. Mohanty ji for presenting the mementos. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, we'll now dive straight into the final session for the day, the final panel discussion, which is on AI and justice, navigating legal, security and ethical frontiers in a progressive world. We'll begin by inviting the panelists. Dr. Pavan Duggal, Advocate, Supreme Court of India. May I request you, sir, to please join us on the dais. Mr. Pavan Duggal, founder and chairman of the International Commission on Cyber Security Law, is a globally renowned expert in cyber law, cyber security law, and e-commerce law. We welcome Dr. Pavan Duggal on the dais. Moving forward and inviting the other panelists, Lieutenant General C.P. Mohanty, former Vice Chief of Army Staff, presently Member Administration, Armed Forces Tribunal. We welcome you, sir, on the dais. Lieutenant General C.P. Mohanty, PVSM, AVSM, SM, VSM, retired, is a highly decorated and experienced general officer with over 38 years of service in the Indian Army. He is an alumnus of prestigious institutions like RIMC, NDA and IMA. We welcome you on the dais. We welcome Mr. Pradeep Rai, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India, to please join us. A distinguished senior advocate practicing at Supreme Court of India, currently holding the esteemed position of Chairman of the India Legal Research Foundation and India Legal Aid Center. Mr. Rai's impressive career also includes 2 terms as the Vice President of Supreme Court, Bar Association. We welcome you on the dais. And with this, we invite the moderator to please join us on the dais, Dr. G. Satish Reddy, former Chairman, DRDO, Government of India, to please join us. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Dr. G. Satish Reddy, who's a distinguished aerospace scientist and the former chairman of the Defense Research and Development Organization, with over 3 decades of experience in defense technology and research. We invite Mr. Kazim Rizvi, founding director, The Dialogue, to please join us. A public policy think tank based out of New Delhi, an important voice in India's tech policy ecosystem, Mr. Kazim works on the intersection of technology, policy and society with a focus on evidence-based research and discourse. We welcome you, Mr. Kazim Rizvi. With this, may I please request the moderator, Dr. G. Satish Reddy, to kindly please begin the proceedings of the session from here, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are seeing here anyway. Good afternoon, everyone. I think this is the last session. Probably, actually, we can see also post-lunch, it has become very thin. And I don't hope the people who are there also active enough to participate in the discussion what we have. And anyway, the discussion is on AI. So AI takes care of, we don't have to do much. So that's how probably. Anyway, in the last couple of years, as morning the Attorney General also has mentioned, technology started playing a major role with AI entering into the every sphere of the activities in the society. And one of the important things as the subject concerned today is justice. Navigating the justice through AI is one of the important aspects. It has multiple things connected to it. One is with AI, things become very simpler, and it many times it doesn't have to depend on single person's capabilities to analyze many things. And with AI having a large database, large number of cases, going through the whole data, going through the cases, analyzing, and can provide a proper perspective, which at times many human beings may not be able to go through that, or may not be able to analyze, or somebody doesn't have that much of an analytical capability and things like that. So it helps in a way, in a big way. At the same time, there are connected issues. Depends on the algorithms, depends on the data sets, and what not available to the platform. Based on that, the analytics, the opinions, or the reasonings are provided, which could become biased. And so then, who should be fixed the responsibility is a question mark. Whether the developer, or the user, or the system, what it is and how. There is one more issue connected to it. Then there are security aspects connected to it. Whether the data security, both ways, whether available data, somebody can, because you made it so much open and so data stealing, or data corruption, or infiltrating the data with malicious data to make the analysis or judgment of the AI systems is biased or incorrect. So this is another issue, particularly with the cyber security coming into picture in a big way. This becomes one of the major issues. And along with this, the ethical issues also come with respect to the AI. The ethical, moral related aspects what we need to build in. And particularly, as I said, whether the algorithms which have gone into the system have all this. There are many ideas which float, which makes life for many people, common people, maybe simpler. And what you need to really look for a legal source, probably a AI legal source, a AI lawyer, AI advocate will be able to provide all that very simple to a common man also. So there are multiple issues connected, and what type of regulations and what type of policies we need to build this to see that the complete AI is only helping in to get a efficient, quicker and right judgment and right process or right decisions, whether right from it's a bail to parole to or a decision judgment, whatever it is, how it can be useful. So this is how I feel, primarily as a technologist, what I look at it with the perspective of looking at the justice. We have very eminent personalities here who have their own specializations in each and every field. And particularly we have a Lieutenant General here who was the Vice Chief of Army Staff, and looking at that aspect, technological aspects, and into the other domains of it, and particularly defense and military domain also we get a perspective. So with that, like to go to get perspective from all these eminent personalities who are there here. I'll start with Mr. Rijvi, as particularly looking into the policies and related aspects which you are the specialization. I'd like to give your perspective on this theme of AI and justice and concerned issues and policies what need to be taken up. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible. Thank you, Dr. Reddy, for your opening speech. Really insightful. And I think you captured all the key issues which AI is trying to grapple today and what we are looking at in India. I think the focus of the conversation is quite broad, and it's great to see that we are talking about AI in defense, legal systems, cybersecurity, AI governance, IP law, and accountability. But I would like to focus on three main issues, sir. Number one is the fact that AI is here to stay, and it's ubiquitous. It's being used across multiple platforms for various purposes in healthcare, finance, legal, etc. First and foremost, sir, we need to identify and implement responsible AI principles. I think that's the most important aspect when we are looking at coming up with a future governance regulation. The first step towards making sure that we move towards safer AI is to implement responsible AI practices. And these include practices such as bias mitigation. We have to make sure that the technology is fair, it's non-discriminatory. The data sets which are being, the AI model is being trained on are basically as diverse and as accurate as possible. Data protection and privacy is fundamental. In fact, yesterday, the Ministry of IT has released the draft data protection rules. So we have to make sure that the model respects and adheres to the privacy standards in India. Cybersecurity is critical, and you have to demonstrate that as a model developer, you are implementing all types of latest guidelines and technical strategies to protect the data of Indian citizens. And these are some of these factors which play a big role when it comes to making AI safe. Having said that, there are certain intersectional conversations and discussions which are going on right now with regard to AI and copyright. And we are also looking at conversations with respect to AI and liability. There is a lot happening when it comes to safety institutes and AI. Let me touch upon copyright and AI a little bit because this is also part of the conversation here. And many of you may be aware that ANI, which is one of the larger publication houses, has sued OpenAI in the Delhi High Court where the matter is going on. There are two contentious issues. Number one, what is the protection guaranteed to publishers, original authors of content, which is then trained by the AI models? And number two is who owns the copyright when the model is producing an output? These are two issues which are being debated right now. On the first, the Indian Copyright Act, if you look at the Indian copyright law, allows for fair dealing. And there are arguments globally. By the way, there are 35 cases across the world in the US, in Europe, where publishers have sued AI model developers that their data sets are being used to train the models without their permission. However, at the same time, I think we have to be very cognizant of the fact that in India, we have a very robust, growing AI startup ecosystem. While it's important to make sure that the original author gets the protection required and gets the fair remuneration for his or her work, we also need to be mindful that there are Indian startups which are beginning to process and collect and train data sets to develop their own models. If we restrict the ability of Indian startups and entrepreneurs to train models, then the large companies and companies which have already done it for years will have a first mover advantage and they will never be, competition will become difficult, startups will not be able to compete with them. So whatever amendments or discussions we are having in the copyright regime, this is an important factor to have. The second factor is who owns the copyright of the output which is produced? Is it owned by the application? Is it owned by the prompt giver? Who owns it? And it's a moot point. There is no clear jurisdictional guidance provided right now in the world with respect to who owns the copyright. But in general terms, the AI model developers themselves put it out in their policies that the output is owned by the prompt giver because the prompt giver takes a call in terms of the questions they want to ask and what are the direction they want to take the AI model to. But at the same time, there is jurisdictional gap over here and there are debates on either side and it's not a it's not an issue which is over, it's just picked up and there are debates going on this. The third issue which I want to sort of focus on is AI in judicial and legal systems. And I think there are multiple startups which are already developing legal tech solutions, AI legal tech solutions. But there are issues with respect to accuracy of the large language models and the fact that they hallucinate. How reliable are these models for lawyers to be used or for judges to be used when it comes to providing judgments or for lawyers to use them when it comes to developing briefs or their petitions, etc. So keeping that in mind, I think it's important for us to make sure that we build in certain robust technical standards. And these technical standards will only help us in outlining how you make your AI more accurate and your AI more safer. At the global level, we are having conversations where multiple countries have now come together and formed AI safety institutes. There is a global network of AI safety institutes which is looking at technical alignment and standards. And I think for India, it's important to be part of these conversations and to inform what should be the technical alignment. Why this is necessary is because what we don't want is globally the world develops certain guidelines and standards and India loses out or India misses out from it because India is not participating at the table or doesn't have an AI institutes of its own. We cannot miss the bus. It's imperative that we inform the technical standards and the guidelines so that it benefits our local startup ecosystem. And if you're talking about AI regulation, for whom do we regulate? Do we regulate to prevent harms or do we regulate to support growth of the Indian industry? Both can be achieved at the same time. Right now, what is necessary is at an industry level, companies setting up robust best practices and standards to make AI safer, voluntary commitments, and then ensuring that the Indian startups get access to data, they get access to good compute, they get access to talent, and for this, whatever necessary regulation or whatever necessary policies are needed, government might consider those. Thank you.
Very good, Mr. Richi. You, I think, touched upon the right aspects of the AI, the various startups, industries, what they're doing, how do you actually bring in mechanisms to make AI can be utilized very positively and it will not have its own repercussions on the society. Thank you. Now, actually, I request Mr. Pradeep Roy, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court. It is also very interesting to know that the Chairman of the Indian Legal Research Foundation and India Legal Aid Center, and as a long career, includes 2 terms as the Vice President of the Supreme Court Bar Association. So, with being the Chairman of the Research Initiatives Foundation, he can actually throw a lot of light into the AI and AI related impacts on the judicial system. Thank you, Mr. Roy.
Thank you for this opportunity. This is such a topic which is now being discussed and being implemented across the globe. Our Supreme Court also witnessed recently when they started working on a special softwares and AI generated programs, especially for the judges to write judgment, but not only final judgment is not that, but most of the part to assemble everything, make it concise, make the arguments in place, they are utilizing it. We started doing it during Justice Chanchur's time and it was developed in UK. Most of the countries, they are using it, especially US and UK, but I personally feel that whenever we are working on these programs, especially for the delivery of the judgments, then we have to consider several other aspects of society. If it is not prepared and generated, considering the social aspects and the society of the particular nation, then the other softwares may not be fit for the society. Like suppose in India, you are delivering a judgment, especially in the keeping in view the case of Meghalaya. The fact is that a person, a lady gives you a pumpkin and you accept that pumpkin thinking that this is the fresh vegetable and you go home, but in fact it is a proposal of marriage and you have accepted it. So that judgment cannot be delivered unless you program it considering the social aspect and 6th schedule and customary laws. Similarly, a very famous case in the US where in the baseball tournament, whenever a player hits any ball in the stadium and any person who is witnessing or the viewer of the match, if he catches the ball, he is allowed to get $10,000. At one incident, when the ball went to the stadium, a person picked the ball, but many other co-viewers, they hold him and they snatched the ball, and finally it was in the possession of someone who kept in the pocket, and finally he claimed that this ball belongs to me and I am entitled to get this $10,000. This judgment was really very difficult. AI said that because the rule is that whoever have the ball, they will get $10,000. So generally it was supposed to go to the person who has finally got the ball. And when this matter came to decide by adding the human angle, it was decided that both the persons who first picked the ball and later the last person who was in possession, they will share this money 50-50. Similarly, like Ram Mandir temple case in India, suppose this judgment was being delivered by AI, what would have been the future of that case? I don't say, because in this case there was no other view possible other than what the judgment was delivered. So that is the question which we think here, because we are understand the society, social fabric and the conditions in India. But suppose it is the AI generated program which is delivering the judgment completely based on the facts of the case, then the judgment would have been a bit different. And the final judgment what came out, that I think that that was the only way possible considering the Indian circumstances. So not only this, even like this green benches, we decide that several times that they want felling of trees and the permissions to construct 4-lane, 5-lane in Uttarakhand especially, when the Supreme Court stayed it on the grounds of law. Finally, after the Prime Minister's intervention, he said the development is also necessary and we have to survive with having both the perspectives, the development and protection of environment. And that's how this program was cleared, this judgment was delivered by the Supreme Court, in which they allowed construction of roads by even going with the minimum loss to the environment. At the same time, there are responsibilities, like what rightly Mr. Kazim Rizvi pointed out, that whenever you are entering into any program which is AI based, like suppose digital surgeries, nowadays this robotic surgery, it is a concept. So if a doctor is conducting a surgery and something occurs, who is responsible? Obviously doctor. But the moment he claims the malfunctioning of the robotic machine or that equipment, at that point of time the responsibility fixing is really difficult. Nowadays the time has come when we are going to have driverless cars, we are going to have pilotless aeroplanes. So in those circumstances, we all have to be very careful considering the growth of technology, considering the future litigation at the same time. And whenever we are going to have the programs completely as per the society, Indian society, keeping the regionalism, keeping the customary law, the provisions of our constitution, because we accept diversity. In our diverse laws, like there are several districts in Northeast where you will not find courts. The district councils, who are the tribal leaders, they may not have the education of law. They are the district courts and they pass the orders. And their laws, their judgment passed in customary law is accepted. So whenever you start analyzing those customary laws, I think that unless you incorporate everything and you make it intelligent enough to deal with the facts and circumstances, it will be difficult. But this is the future, sir. And AI can't be ignored. Now this judiciary, lawyers, we all are using it at some extent. This younger generation is, they are better equipped, they have better knowledge. For us, it is a bit difficult. Whenever we start working on something, we have to take help from them, they guide us. But whenever, like a judges, whenever they are writing judgments, earlier it was really difficult, sir, for us to take out the books, finding out the judgments. Nowadays, we get it very easily. That is the minimum AI could do. But now, even judgment writing, analyzing the facts, previous judgments passed by the Supreme Court, and then the foundation of it. So all these things are happening. There was a law, sir, earlier, pre-independence, and even in British law, that if a tanga, like a ikka, if you are going with horse cart, if you are going and it comes with some accident and all, the horse was also accused. And there have been around 48 trials in Calcutta in relation to horses only. Horse was the accused, because horse made the mistake, not the person who was handling the horse. Later, after post-independence, laws changed, and gradually we are seeing the laws in currently which is in place. So, though I am a last minute arrangement by Sumitra ji, I have not prepared, but whatever I know and whatever I have witnessed, based on that, I personally feel that AIs are the necessity of the legal world. It has made our jobs easier. At the same time, we have to consider the social norms, society, Indian laws, and then globally accepted other forums which accept our principles. If you incorporate everything, we will be on the right direction. And I hope that this seminar and this program, this entire conversation is going to help our country, our audiences, at the same time to our courts and proceeding young lawyers and everyone. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. At times, actually, with the vast knowledge what you have, And suddenly taking up a task like this and giving an opinion, sometimes it is better than giving a prepared one. So it actually comes as a naive answer and it will be a good answer also. You gave a very good perspective of AI, the utilities of it and also the problems associated with that, what could be the things and all that. So very good. And let us see how future tells us and how we are going to take it forward and what type of AI tools come in and what is the refined tools of AI which are going to come. Now, I request Lieutenant General Mohanty, CP Mohanty, is PVSM, AVSM, SM, VSM, and he was the Vice Chief of Army Staff, and then as General and turned into legal system, is a member of the Armed Forces Tribunal. That's how he has also entered into the legal system and judiciary related aspects. Request General Mohanty to give his perspective now.
Not working. Hello. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Reddy. First of all, I must confess that whatever I'm speaking is not AI generated. And secondly, whatever I'm speaking is primarily for the young audience, because I thought I'll just share my views, because Army, Navy and Air Force, all three have been forefront in generation of AI related technology. So that's where, rather than going into the little higher level things, let me just give you certain perspectives, what can be useful for our legal system. Now, it is like if I have to really go to Google and type two words, that is artificial intelligence and law, I'll get plethora of my own speech. And it's like a maverick juvenile telling probably a wise old man what I should speak about him. But then it is something that is here to stay. What we need to do is to tame him. It is inevitable. We have to tame him and also learn from him. Given the legal landscape in the world today, I believe that AI is not a tool, but it's a transformative force which will enhance the access of the entire nation to justice. The private sector has already taken a lead, followed by the PSUs, all the public sector, and armed forces. In the second half of the century, we have found that this is something which has completely transformed the battlefield. This is the next most important thing that has happened after the introduction of Air Force into the battle. So if that be so, there are challenges. Today we already have in the Supreme Court, Supas is there, Suvas is there, and Haryana High Court, they're already using ChatGPT to decide the bail pleas. That is in 2023. But what are the challenges? Now, challenges are far too many. Yet, when we are looking at the challenges, after all, we've had challenges as far as since the advent of ever since the motor vehicles were invented. That was 140 years back. We've had thousands or lakhs of accidents. But now today we have driverless cars, which are completely AI driven. Similarly in Air Force, the aircrafts, which were invented 120 years back, have you stopped flying? There are a total of, as per my records that is available to me, 1918 accidents have happened. The aviation accidents, even then we are still going strong. And today also the RPVs, remotely piloted vehicles, these are also AI related. So how are we flying them? There are accidents, but we are still going ahead with that. Now let me take you into two scenarios. The scenario of the Indian legal system or the judicial system that is existing, that is the Act 1 of the play, and the Act 2 is what is going to happen in 2047. 2047 is the 100th year of Indian independence. Now, what is going to be the situation then? It is just a perspective that I'm going to present before you. Today, we have got backlog of 40 million cases in India. Legal representation is restricted and high legal fees. And there is a substantial amount of time that is taken to adjudicate the cases. Let's go to 47. With the advent of AI, having perfected the AI, I will talk about the phases a bit. The applicant doesn't have to go to a lawyer. Unfortunately, probably the legal fraternity will have lesser relevance in 2047. Because the applicant has to go to the AI, file his case, and accordingly the application will be generated which can be filed automatically in the court. The complete business of the court will be AI related. The reliance of the case laws, arguments in the courts will not be necessary any longer. The transcripts of the arguments, if at all, only the differences to the arguments will already be available. And the most challenging work, like in last 2 years that I have been in the AFT, I realized one of the things that which plays on our mind is to, when the order is reserved, how to finalize the order and then deliver the verdict. That itself is substantial time taking. You have to go through the files, you got to dictate the order, and then go through the draft, then correct the draft, then get it checked by the others, and finally give the verdict. So sometimes it takes 6 months. 6 months is the time given by the Supreme Court, as you all know, but it sometimes takes even more than that. So therefore, this is going to be once again a matter of hours, not even days. Yet, the human being will continue to remain relevant. It is the ethic. What we are going to add as the human being, what is the relevance of the judge then? If everything is going to be done by the AI, what will the judge do? He will add ethics. He will confirm what is being delivered to him by the AI, the accuracy and the legality. That is where the human interface comes in. Now, if I talk about bit of the ethics, take you on to Ramayana. If there was AI available then, Ram wouldn't have killed Bali. The AI arrow which was delivered would have killed both Bali and Sugriv. So therefore, this is where the human being counts. This is that last mile connectivity where the judges, where the lawyers will be of relevance. Now what will happen at the end, the backlog would probably go down to 4 lakhs, just about 4 lakhs or even lesser than that. There may not be backlogs at all. And we'll be able to reach every nook and corner of the country. Justice will be available on each one's mobile. And that time probably mobile will not be there as an instrument in your hand. It will be part of your body. It's already been, I'm not talking about any science fiction. It's a fact that is going to be. However, what we have to ensure that the AI remains a loyal servant. It does not become a dominating master. At the same time, while I made a threat to the lawyers that you might lose your job, you will never lose your job. Only thing, your works will become simple. There have been much bigger developments in many of the countries. I'm not getting into the details, but simply to take certain names, USA has got Compass, wherein it is led to predictive policing and allocation of the police resources. China, yet another leader in this field, they have smart courts. They're promoting efficiency in the judicial resource management. They're allowing the judges to go in for more intricate cases, leaving the lesser important cases to the AI. In UK, they have something called as a HART, Harm Assessment Risk Tool. Now, this is also a very interesting case. But what is most important is Brazil. Now, in Brazil, a case which is supposed to be done in, say, total cumulative time of 40 hours, it is just being done in 5 minutes. That is the amount of time that is taken, even today. So India is not far behind. Technologically, we are a giant in the world. So in the legal field, we have a tremendous amount of potential. And this potential, why am I saying that it is going to take 2047? Because we have got to tame this animal. Otherwise, this cannot be allowed to become a master. And how do we achieve this aim, the dream by 2047? It has got to have certain components. Firstly, the case management system to manage our cases and track the schedule of hearings. The second one is predictive analysis. I've had an interaction with Mr. Singhi. He said that it is already in place. AI-powered legal research tools to help our the legal researchers, and also research by the legal as well as the judicial fraternity. Automatic documentation, which takes a tremendous amount of time, that is going to be reduced phenomenally. Artificial intelligence chatbots and visual assistants. The learning platforms, it's a very important thing because it requires skilling by us, and multilingual support system, because every case today is being handled by various states where the judgments, where the arguments are in their local language. So this translation will have to be done. Otherwise, you will have leave granted becoming chutti swikar. So we cannot have this kind of a thing happening by the AI itself. And even we have to also ensure that the threats of misuse of AI, that has got to be negated, and the innovations have to go hand in hand with all other developments that is taking place across the world. The recent the virtual arrests cannot be also repeated in AI, like having fake judgments, fake arrests, and reliance on the case laws which are non-existent. So therefore, we have to ensure that this unruly stallion becomes an obedient horse. I would like to propose for the decision makers a way forward, quickly a way forward in 3 phases. First and foremost, this is my experience in the armed forces. I'm taking, pardon me for taking a little longer, but this is the last bit I wanted to speak about. It has got to be in a manner as a phased project implementation. It could be top down, that is from the Supreme Court to High Court to the District Court, or bottoms up, that is from the High Court to the District Court to High Court to then Supreme Court. I would propose bottoms up, having a pilot project, because it is finally the Supreme Court which should have the last word. The moment Supreme Court becomes a test bed, it will not possible to withstand this. So therefore, it must start with a district court of a particular state, thereafter the state high court, and then finally coming on to the Supreme Court. Then the project agency has to be created at the highest level. Creation of a joint working group again at the highest level to monitor all these activities. Implementation by signing MOUs with PSUs or maybe many of these AI firms which are there existing in the country. It may be the best in the world. And the policy, roadmap, data handling, and the infrastructure creation has to be done. And similarly, the cyber security. The countering of the social media and international threats is something that we need to negate. And this entire thing has to be tested by mute courts, by simulation exercises, by AI application which has got to be validated. And of course, to add to that will be logistics and financing. And this has got to continue with the continuous upgradations, because what is today the technology is going to be far ahead in 2047. So if each phase is going to take 5 years, so 5 into 3, 15 years, 2015, so it is coming to about say 2040. So by 2047, the legal system of India has to get integrated with the rest of the world. There are comparative studies which have got to be done by case studies in the global scenarios. More is the data, more is the accuracy. We are seeing it. As the data builds up, your percentage of accuracy keeps on increasing. And I said about the ethics. Ethics is something which cannot be ever lost sight of. And ultimately, it should be such that the AI-based, it has got to be a world one world, one law. If I may just shorten it to say OWOL. And at the end, I would like to quote Stephen Hawking, who has said in 2018, it'll either be the best thing that has ever happened to us, or it'll be the worst thing. If you are not careful, it very well may be the last thing that will happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General Monty. You have given a lot of new perspectives, starting from AI in armed forces and armed forces, how they are taking forward AI and how AI system has entered into the legal system or judiciary system now, and then how AI is not ultimate, always a human being is essential, whether for the last mileage points or other way around also, whichever way it is. Many things you have covered, and thank you. Now we have the Dr. Pavan Duggal. Particularly, I am also interested in what he would be saying, primarily because he is the founder and chairman of the International Commission on Cyber Security Law, which is very important, and also is a renowned expert in that. And as cyber security has become a major day-to-day problem in our lives now, leaving aside the issues connected to data, data storage, or data security, or various other issues, actually, the way the cyber security thefts, choris, what are happening now today, on an average today in our country, it is about 22 lakh rupees we are losing per minute. This is the general order of the day today, how people are utilizing the tools. Probably some of them are using even AI tools. AI and cyber security together jointly is an integrated system which has become AI and cyber security, and that is creating a big menace. And how do we deal with it? How we can bring in regulation systems and whatnot, everything and all that is one of the important aspects what we need to look at. So Dr. Pavan Duggal, with his research in this and experience in this and bringing in the law particularly, I'd like to hear a lot from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. 75 hours back, something happened. And that has a direct bearing on what we talk. The Illinois Supreme Court has now implemented its AI policy. The first Supreme Court in the world which has said in categorical terms what is the American judiciary wanting of AI. If you read it, you're surprised, maybe even shocked. Why? Because they say the use of AI is expected and is encouraged and has not to be discouraged. Number two, they're saying, sorry, there's now no need for disclosing by anyone, whether it's a litigant, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a judge, that the output that they are creating has been created with or without AI. This is so dramatically different from what the American courts were doing a few months back. This is what is completely a U-turn from what we saw, where two American lawyers were fined $5,000 because they had gone to ChatGPT for creating these written arguments, and the ChatGPT had actually given in 6 American cases, all of which were fake. The parties didn't exist, the litigations never happened, the judgments never came. But lo and behold, because the AI gave such judgments, and the lawyers asked AI, you're giving me judgments, I hope they are correct. The AI said, absolutely correct, please go ahead. So they relied upon it only to realize that they are being fined. They were lucky. Their license didn't get suspended. From those days till the Illinois Supreme Court AI policy, it's a different ballgame altogether. And I think as we are talking, I'm just closing my eyes and thinking, look, if we were to do the same session in 365 days, a lot of what we are going to talk will be irrelevant. Why? Because AI is moving at a phenomenal pace. And we are still thinking of AI as the internet. So the 2024 of the world is the 1996 of the internet. The internet was at its nascent stage. AI is at a nascent stage. Sorry. AI is moving far, far more rapidly. And now we have a bigger problem. You want to use AI for justice? On the one hand, have the carefree approach of the American thought process. On the other hand, have the very hesitant, cautious approach of judiciaries across the world. Where do you pass the distinction? Which side of the road the camel is going to sit? No one can say. But yes, certain things can be said, definitely. Yesterday night, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology uploaded on the internet the draft rules under the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. These rules instantaneously got to be analyzed by AI. Everybody went to AI and got the AI inputs. So at midnight, I happened to go to one of these AI platforms and I happened to ask questions about the DPDP Act, having worked extensively in this space. And I was merrily asking questions and the program was merrily giving me answers. Till such time I said my patience was running out. And I called out AI to say, whatever answers you've given me are completely false because they don't reflect the correct nuances. The correct nuances are this, this, this. To which the AI said, sorry, I was mistaken. I now correct myself and give you the corrected answers. This happened because I knew the nuances. What happens when a person doesn't know the nuances? When you believe that AI is the next magical wand. In India, in Munna Bhai versus MBBS, we have the Jadoo Ki Chappi. We are expecting the AI to have us Jadoo Ki Chappi. It doesn't work. It's not going to work like that. And on bigger issues, we have another bigger problem. Indians are undergoing two remarkable revolutions. And when you marry that sociological with the AI phenomenon, I begin to see disastrous results. Number one, India is going through the great Indian vomiting revolution, where Indians are vomiting data about their personal, professional, social lives, on the internet, on AI, without thinking of the ramifications. And the second is the great Indian recording revolution, where Indians are recording information about themselves. And after recording, forgetting about it, where your recording is going on. And now the new trend is, upload your recordings on AI to analyze, have it analyzed by AI, without thinking of either your privacy, or your cyber security, or your digital rights. In the earlier years, we used to say that Google knows more than your wife and family. Those days are dead and gone. Today, an OpenAI knows far more about you, your mind, than even Google. Why? I give a query to Google, I get 20 search results, and I have to go and search. I give one query to AI, AI gives me exact answers to what I'm asking for. So the latest program of OpenAI has got a new function. It's called the memory function. They constantly keep on updating that memory function. Anything, whatever you ask, gets uploaded into the memory. So if I have to hack you, if I have to target you, all I have to do is to hack that memory function. And lo and behold, I have the most intimate knowledge of who you are, what you are, where you're going in. So we are talking about AI and justice phenomenally, wonderfully well. Yes, certain low-hanging fruits, no problems. Maybe the challan cases could be jumbled together. Maybe AI can get them off quickly. But the moment you start going to contentious matters, you have a bigger problem. Why? Because most of this AI has been fed on data that's non-Indian. That's been fed on American data. So its perspectives of looking at things is American, is more colonialistic rather than Indian. So in a scenario like this, I think we will have to be a bit more careful. Nobody is talking about cybersecurity of AI. And I want to talk about two aspects from two different sides of the spectrum. One, that AI can be hacked, its cybersecurity can be hacked. We don't even think of it. We say, look, this is AI, whether it's Google's Gemini, whether it's OpenAI, whether it's ABC or XYZ, everybody is secure. Sorry. Read through the terms and conditions. They categorically tell you, please share information on a very careful basis. Do not share your personal information, confidential information. Why? Because there's a potentiality of the systems being hacked. So if you're using AI for justice, and as a hacker, I'm able to hack into that justice system, lo and behold, the kind of damage that I can cause is going to be phenomenal. On top of it, the second aspect of cybersecurity, using AI as a tool for breaching cybersecurity. So I come to know that judiciary of a country is using AI wonderfully well, and I want to derail it. What do? Number one, I breach the cybersecurity of that AI algorithm, and lo and behold, the entire system comes crawling down. Number two, I don't want to really dirty my hands. So I start using AI as a tool for breaching the cybersecurity of the other AI which is being used by the judiciary of a country. So lo and behold, at the end of the day, what really gets hacked is AI. Who really hacks is AI. And the law enforcement agencies have no clue of who to capture, how to capture, and whom to actually attribute these activities. So I think as we go enthusiastically towards justice and AI, I want to sound a note of caution. I want to say, look at, please, the cybersecurity ramifications. Why? Go to the darknet today. Today afternoon, if I look at the broad, predominant feature on the darknet, it is cybercrime as a service powered by artificial intelligence. So we are all in the Zomato's age. We love to order, whether it's in the middle of night or anywhere. But now these guys have got you a new feature. You can order cybercrime. And then they give you an additional promise. You order cybercrime, we don't do the cybercrime, AI does the cybercrime. You are happy, we are happy, AI is happy. So lo and behold, we are actually going in a phenomenally different direction. On top of it, the legal liability aspects are completely not really being addressed. Look at the latest Illinois Supreme Court version. They say, look, the judge will be responsible for ensuring that the judgment is correct, whether he uses AI or not, which in any case the judge is going to be responsible. But if you are as a litigant and you're pinning your hopes, aspirations on a judgment that ultimately doesn't get written by the human judge, but by initially the first draft being the AI algorithm, maybe to a large extent those aspirations get dashed to the ground. So we will have to be mindful of those issues. We'll have to be mindful of the fact that in India, we don't have a dedicated law on artificial intelligence. I've been telling the government for the last many years, you'll need to have enabling legal frameworks. But in India, we love to only go on our past laurels. We believe the Information Technology Act 2000 is our mother legislation, will continuously be even applicable to AI. Well, if I was to look at AI only as a computer resource, yes, to a large extent, you may be correct. But the moment I go deeper, I realize that the nuances of AI are neither covered under the IT Act nor under the IT rules. We have a national policy on AI of 2018, but then that's only mere policy. It doesn't really have any significant legal ramification. In this kind of a scenario, AI is coming at such rapid pace. On top of it, we now have a bigger problem. India doesn't have a cybersecurity law in place. So any breach in cybersecurity happens, I'm still going to piggy ride on section 66 and 43 of the Information Technology Act 2000 and the Bharatiya Nyaya Sahita 2023, most of which will be not very adequate. On top of it, I have to also realize the fact that we do not have legal frameworks to legally recognize the legal status or entity of AI. Is AI legal? Can I sue AI? Can AI sue me? Do I have rights against AI? Can AI have rights against me? Well, I'm arguing that humans' rights need to be protected in terms of digital rights, but there are some scholars which are saying, sorry, it's time to now look at the rights of AI, the rights of robots vis-a-vis humans. So when they took out this AI program in the International Space Station a couple of years back, this was called the AI Astronaut Companion. Its main job to be a companion for the astronaut. And it was opened up. The astronaut wanted it to play some music. It played its music. After 2-3 songs, the astronaut wanted the program to be quiet. So asked it to be quiet. the program warned the astronaut, "You are being rude to me. Be careful how you talk to me." The program was shut down. The matter reported to the ground station, and lo and behold, that was the last we saw of this. AI going rogue is now the next big reality. We may not want to look at it, acknowledge it, but that's our problem. But if we are the proverbial pigeon who wants to close the eyes before the cat, then it's our problem, not that of the cat's problem at all. And while we are doing all this, I just want to pause here and tell you something that happened 17 months back. Well, we were busy in the so-called Josh and the favor and the wave of generative AI. In July 2023, OpenAI launched a small program. It's called the Superintelligence Alignment Project. It says, give us 4 years, and in the next 4 years, we will come up with a superintelligence which will be better than the cumulative intelligence of humanity as a whole. It's already now 1.5 years. And now OpenAI has launched version 03, which they say is a precursor of superintelligence. So we are still talking about just normal generative AI, and the superintelligence is already on the way of its development. So it's time to start looking at this entire issue from a holistic standpoint, cyber security standpoint, from the legality standpoint, from the privacy standpoint, and for the purposes of ultimately ensuring that whatever we do not ultimately emerge as an existential threat to humanity. So when Elon Musk is actually saying that AI is an existential threat to humanity, he's bang on target. It's only that we are so much busy in our lives that we are not seeing that we are now riding a running tiger. And unfortunately, we do not have the luxury to get off the tiger. We will have to keep on riding it. My question is, how do we go ahead and calibrate our strategies while we ride a running tiger? That will be $1 million question. Everybody will have to contribute, whether it's the government in terms of new legal frameworks, whether it's in terms of judiciary, in terms of new approaches, whether it's in terms of users, in terms of ensuring that they do not share a lot of their information on AI, and whether it's in terms of protecting and preserving the cyber security of AI algorithms and also of AI data principles. And mind you, as I close, I just want to close with this final thought. The draft rules, Digital Personal Data Protection Rules 2025, are completely silent on how AI is going to go ahead and deal with this entire issue of data protection. It's only talking about data fiduciaries being responsible. So once I share my information, or once an AI algorithm gets my information as a litigant in a judicial matter, in a judicial proceedings, how it's going to use it, misuse it, abuse it, is anybody's question. I think we have so much of challenges at hand, but the quicker we start working on this, the better it is. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Pawan Mughal. Very interesting points which you have raised, and particularly with AI and cyber security, synergy, which creates a lot of issues today, is an important point what needs to be looked at. Definitely, one thing I generally want to say, AI, is it a very, very generic thing, or it can be very specific, the way we want it to work, the way the knowledge it has to have, the database, the protection of the database and all that, can we have and can we create, is one thing which actually we should look at it, which I feel that technology has an answer and will have an answer, if not today, should have an answer and create it, is one thing. If you look at it, any technology, when it comes advancements, everything has a positive aspects and negative aspects of it always mingled with it. In fact, I keep looking at when the computers came, and actually there were questions in the minds of the people. Computers have come, what happens to jobs? Actually, I feel after a couple of years, or after maybe 90s onwards, computers are the ones which have created lots of jobs, and that's how today a very nook and corner computer science departments have come, so many colleges have come, And if you look at it, this country now, we are producing about 1.4 million engineers. And I feel primarily out of the software and computers related things which has created. The same, the moment software has come, it's immediately the viruses started and created and havoc and which has gone into it. And that is what actually we see the initial form of virus is seen as a cybersecurity product, and it has become as a cyber physical systems and all that, and which has become a big menace today. And now AI joined into it is another factor. But I also feel, somehow I felt, I may be wrong, please don't mind, some of the people at least felt AI is a competitor to us. Let's not have into that feeling of it, and we don't have to bring AI down because of that feelings. Actually, I feel AI is what we have created. We are always a human being, and we are here to create everything, and we know how to create it, and we need not be afraid of it. So we only need to see what we have created, what are the positive aspects of it, and what are the issues which are rising out of it, whatever the way. Whether it is we have not created the way we want it, or otherwise somebody else has infiltrated into it not to function the way it is supposed to function also. This is one of the important aspects what we need to see. I somehow very strongly feel when Mr. Roy was also telling is that when in this large population of 140 crores, when we have adequate expert doctors, if are not there, can't I have a medical aid from a properly designed, validated, verified, certified AI tool / machine? Can't it give an advice which is by and large, or I say that 90%, 99% of the time is correct, which is, as I said, properly validated and things like that. Not that the human being doctors are also not making mistakes. Probably the validation mechanisms, automatic mechanisms which can create and all that. That's why when General Mohanty was speaking also, I was thinking, today in the war also, he will agree with me, there are unwritten norms that today autonomous vehicles and weapons are actually as I said, as per the norm, illegal. And there may not be rule and people may not be following it and all that and things, but people started using it and all that because of all these issues only. You have an automatic weapon or autonomous weapon is an intelligent weapon. Whether it is actually, it goes onto the target or otherwise goes onto the human race is a question mark, and that's how as a civilian population will get affected or not is a question on that. So looking all those angles, can we actually, as Mr. Pavan Duggal was, Dr. Pavan Duggal was mentioning, and actually I also asked him also, can't we create frameworks? Can't we bring in regulations? Can't we bring in regulations right from the development side, utility side? When you are utilizing it also, probably in the judiciary we are utilizing AI tool. AI tool, when I say is, A, B, C, D, 5 companies come and they give the tool and then I am using it without anything. And yes, as I said, a couple of them may give a wrong judgments and you know it is a judgment and all that. When I say it is a properly developed with the inputs what Mr. Roy has given, that the local conditions, local emotions and local culture, everything built into it, can't we create a system which is a validated system? And on that system, can we have a overriding features and checking features for those judgments or whatever it is? Sort of a things can't we think of it? Because we also heard from all the speakers that AI is progressing very fast, and AI tools and they are entering into the life in multiple ways and all that, and we need to see. So how do we actually, the fast changing technology can be brought into it, it can be utilized in a proper way, and with the proper overrides and the proper things can be developed and all that we can see. So regulations and laws are very, very, very important. In fact, I've been working on personally on mechanisms how this present cyber threats to a common man happening. How do we actually make it not to happen, or how do you protect a common man from these things? Are many, many, many thought processes. I've held discussions with various people, experts in the country, and all that, and things like that. Unless, see, everywhere when technology comes, the laws have to come, regulations have to come. Actually, in fact, with an ulcer, the law university, I am the first man who sat with a couple of professors and introduced the space law there, long back. So similarly, when we say cyber security or AI, whether you say regulations or laws, we need to bring in and mechanisms, certification mechanisms, processes, standards, all that. And yes, over and above that, what needs to be fed, what data need to be given. I fully agree with Dr. Pawan Duggal that in this digital world, in this world today, we have to be very cautious where, what we are giving and not giving. It's an important thing. It has been actually somewhere or other always data protection has been there centuries back also. It has always been maintaining many things, confidential, secrecy, information is always has been there, which is essential, which is much more essential. Once leaked here, it is a leaked, and sort of a thing happens. So these also is important aspects, and those do's and do nots, and all those things have to bring in, how to mechanisms to protect, and those processes which have to build into the society, right from village level to wherever it is, or people, very common man, to a coolie in a village, to very high level official or corporate people in the country, how to protect them, all that mechanisms have to be brought in. This is the need of the hour. But I very strongly feel that AI is become part of life. AI is a tool to facilitate faster things, quicker things to happen, and it is our duty and it is our responsibility how to make that is a robust AI is what we need to look at, and what robust mechanisms, regulations, laws need to be brought in. So with this, I thank all my eminent panel members who have given very, very, very innovative, thought-provoking ideas, thoughts, and mechanisms or questions posed to us and things like that and all that. I think we are all such may. I've been last 1 hour I'm thinking, lots of thoughts are getting into our minds, and all of you I think agree that lots of thoughts would have gone into your mind also, how, what to need to do and all that. It becomes very essential. So with this particular in mind, we need to definitely appreciate Mr. S.K.Singhi for taking this initiative or Lexits, that in this environment, this becomes more and more online legal advice. I'm sure that it is not AI-based legal advice, AI legal advice. Definitely there are human beings and who will be giving the advice. You will not put a tool and then you answer between the two, and all that is not the thing what is going to do. And definitely there will be people and things like that and all that, I'm very sure. So congratulations and best wishes, and I want this as a big movement to happen in the country to help all the people in the country in a very quick and faster things. And that is what it is. And thank you and all the best to you giving me opportunity. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, and taking these learnings forward and building on the work that has already been done. And may the findings be beneficial for the entire humanity, as we have been talking about it throughout the day. Ladies and gentlemen, before finally closing it, may I please invite Major General Rajendra Sachdevji, VSM, to kindly please present tokens of appreciation for our presenters in the beginning, and then I'll be inviting the other eminent dignitaries to join us. So Major General Rajendra Sachdev, VSM, to present a memento to the moderator first, Dr. G. Satish Reddy. जोरदार तालियां हमारे moderator के लिए, Dr. G. Satish Reddy. Thank you very much for conducting this session and presenting your thoughts before all of us here today. Lieutenant General C.P. Mohanty. Lieutenant General C.P. Mohanty. Thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts with us today. Please join your hands, ladies and gentlemen, for each of our panelists as they share their thoughts with us. Thank you, Major General Rajendra Sachdevji. Thank you very much. May I please now invite Shri P.K. Goyalji to join us on the dais for presenting a memento to Shri Kazim Rizvi. A big thank you to all our panelists for sharing their thoughts with us today and for sharing those words of wisdom. We'll return back more informed than before. Thank you, Mr. Kazim Rizvi, for joining us on this panel. Thank you, Shri P.K. Goyalji. May I now invite Shri Prem Sibal to present a memento to Shri Pradeep Raiji. Thank you to each of our speakers for joining us here. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our speakers in this wonderful panel discussion that we just heard. A memento for Shri Pradeep Rai. Thank you very much, sir, for your sharings and for giving us your thoughts, perspectives, views, and ideas. जोरदार तालियां सभी की ओर से। Thank you, Shri Prem Sibal ji. May I now invite Shri Srinivasan N, co-founder Petro Money Fintech, to present a memento to Dr. Pavan Duggal. A big round of applause for all our panelists. Post this, we will have a group picture followed by the closing remarks and vote of thanks. So we'll have a group picture now along with the entire panel. We request the presenters, the panelists, moderator, everyone to kindly please come forward for a picture perfect moment remembering this momentous day. It is time to have a group picture, requesting Shri S.K.Singhi ji to also please join in. Thank you very much for that wonderful discussion that we just heard. Ladies and gentlemen, as we get set to close the day, in order to present the closing remarks, may I please invite Senior Partner S.K.Singhi and Partner Sri S.K.Singhi ji to please join us. Please join hands and let's welcome Mr. S.K.Singhi. May we please request everyone to give us about 5 to 7 more minutes. Post that, we all will meet at the tea break. In fact, we'll wind up with the high tea. May I please request everyone to give us 5 more minutes, please. Let us listen to Mr. S.K.Singhi.
Good evening, distinguished guests, esteemed dignitaries, and dear participants. As we draw this transformative day to a close, I stand before you with immense gratitude and a sense of accomplishment. Today marks the culmination of months of efforts, vision, and collaboration that have led to the inception of Lexits, an initiative that represents hope, efficiency, and progress for the legal and business communities. Lexits is more than an initiative, it is a commitment to elevating the burdens of our judiciary, empowering litigants with predictive analysis, and bridging borders for a seamless confluence of Indian and international legal systems. It is an embodiment of the collective aspiration to make justice accessible, efficient, and timely, resonating with our ethos of social responsibility. Throughout the day, we have heard thought-provoking insights from some of the brightest minds in law, governance, and policy, from the potential of AI to reshape justice to aligning ESG principles with sustainable frameworks and exploring comparative legal perspectives. These discussions have not only inspired but also illuminated the path forward for a more inclusive and responsive legal system. I extend my heartfelt thanks to every speaker, panelist, and participant for enriching today's proceedings. And to our dedicated team at S.K.Singhi and Partners, thank you for turning this vision into a reality. Finally, I invite each of you to be active collaborators in this journey. Let us collectively ensure that Lexits evolves as a beacon of efficiency and inclusivity in the world of law. Thank you for being a part of this historic moment. I wish you all a pleasant evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. S.K.Singhi. And finally, to present the vote of thanks, may I please invite Ms. Akshaya Putran, Principal Associate of S.K.Singhi, Mumbai office, to please join us on the dais. The final vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. As we conclude this wonderful event, I would like to take this opportunity to express our heartfelt gratitude to all who have made this gathering possible. First and foremost, a sincere thanks to our eminent panelists and the speakers in the session who shared their valuable insight, experience, and thoughts. Your contribution have truly enriched, and we are grateful for your time and efforts. A special thanks to Lexits member of Board of Patrons, Advisory Board of Members, our host of the event, media, event management team, organizers, and also a special thanks to our Delhi team, Mr. Hargovind sir also, and the Kolkata team, and the Mumbai team, and the Bharat Mandapam, and their management, caterers, and each staff members therein, and the photographers whose hard work made this event run smoothly and successfully. I would like to thank our founder managing partner, Sir S.K.Singhi sir, our joint managing partner, S.K.Singhi sir, our senior partner, S.K.Singhi sir, for this providing us this much needed platform. Now, I would also like to thank Mrs. Urvashi Singhi Madam, Mrs. Preksha Singhi Madam, and Mrs. Pragna Singhi Madam for adding equal support for this Lexit launch. Now, last but not least, I would like to thank each one of you for your presence and your participation. It is your involvement that actually helped this event meaningful. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akshaya, for that wonderful vote of thanks from your side. I think you covered everyone nearly. And as it was rightly mentioned that today is the culmination of months of efforts. Lexits is a commitment. It is a collective aspiration of making justice accessible to all. Ladies and gentlemen, with these golden birds, we would like to request you all to kindly join us for high tea. Thank you very much for joining us here. We hope that all of us will benefit from it. Let's proceed towards the high tea area, which is downstairs. Thank you very much.